Well, hello there and welcome back to another Mordheim video. In today's video I wanted to start taking a look at the different characters you can hire in Mordheim, and specifically show you how you can build them at a high level and how you can level them up properly. Show you what these guys can really get if you level them up all the way. I want to start with one of my favorites in Mordheim, the Warpguard. Even though the Warpguard is just a henchman, it's a character that I have learned to love and he cannot be underestimated in any circumstances. His stat line is decent, he has quite high weapon skill, he has more strength than most of the Skaven heroes does, he has a really good toughness, especially if you skill him in that way. And also he is most likely the backbone of your leadership, since you don't really want to skill your most of your other characters into leadership, because alertness is so important. Let's talk about what does the Warpguard do for your warband. Well, since he's the only character that you really want to give heavy armor to, and I'm pretty sure he's pretty much the only character who can wear heavy armor, these guys will most likely be your front line. They will be the backbone of your warband. They will be guys taking the enemy charge, locking them up, and allowing your heroes to actually go around and do the damage to the targets they need to be damaging. To achieve that goal, you can build them in a number of ways. As you can see, their agility is not that bad. 15 is quite good. Means you could go for another dodgy character like your other Skavens. But there's some problem with that. If you build every single warrior in your warband for a dodge build, you will be very, very weakened in that term that ranged units will just murder you. Late game range units can do a lot of damage, especially when you have no armor. So to have someone who can actually soak up the enemy fire is something you should consider. Also, if all of your characters are primarily relying on dodging to mitigate your damage, if they get hit, they will die really fast, which means you can run a full dodge warband, but it's really risky, especially late game when the enemy will have skills to counter your dodge chance. Actually will hit you, even if you have 90% dodge chance. So I always play these guys as a tank. Just a nice big tank, heavy armor with lots of parry, who can really take the enemy charge and also dish out a lot of damage in return. With strength 12 and a toughness of up to 17 with enchants, they can do a lot of damage and also take a lot of damage. Their weapon skill is really high, which gives them a nice parry chance. It's only 70% now, because he's wearing a helmet right now, with a shield that gets up to over 90%, which makes them really hard to hit. They're a bit slower than your other Skaven, but that's fine. You can get them into position fast enough and rely on them to start the fight if you need to. Also, like I said, leadership. Skaven Warbands often have a problem with leadership, since most of your heroes don't really go on the leadership, they lead alertness to really use your speed. So, Warpguards wear heavy armor anyway. They don't need the alertness, they will be slow anyway, so might as well go for leadership, which is something that is quite valuable in a Skaven Warband. I mean, having an all dodgy crit warband is nice, but if they run because two of your dudes fell over, not so nice. So, as you can see, he is max level, he has spent all of his skill points, and he has really good equipment. So let's start with that. Of course, heavy armor is a must, and if you're lucky like me, you can give it a Mark of Veteran, which gives 2 more toughness and a bit more alertness to balance out the heavy armor. So yeah, heavy armor is a must have. Helmets, of course, simply because trying to get that stun resist. Also, I enchant for it because I don't really have anything better for the helmet, but there are not that many great enchantments for helmets anyway, so yeah. Like I said, I usually let them fight with Herbert first, simply because they get a nice bit of bonus damage on the charge, and if we get into a sticky situation, I can still swap to shield and sword and get 96% parry with the enchants. For weapon enchants, I usually go with the enfeeblements, because it's quite nice. If you are lucky enough and can remove some offensive points from your enemy, you can really weaken them, and maybe you will live a turn longer for that. Or with Mark of Luck, just for some more critical hit resistance, so you won't get crit and killed, which is also quite nice to have. I also give them usually some items. Healing Draught is always nice, just as an emergency backup if anyone gets low. Luck Trinket is also quite nice if you want to keep them with no injuries, simply because, yeah, it gets you a bit more lucky with injuries. And since they are your frontline and they will get hit most of the time if everything goes right, Luck Trinkets are nothing to underestimate. I usually carry a few oil bombs on them simply because it's a bit of damage I can just throw in there if I need a bit of AoE. So yeah, this setup, like I said, again, this serves the purpose of he can take a lot of damage and he can still dish out a lot of damage with the Herbert and get a bit more defensive with the shield and the sword if he needs to. Now let's get to the interesting part that makes that all possible, his skills. Let's go through the actives first. I usually like to give them Strong Blow. Why? Well, he has 5 offensive points, which he can attack twice with the Herbert, just normally, which is usually the better option, but there are a lot of things that can take away offensive points from you. And if you only have 4, you can only attack once. So, in that case, better just Strong Blow once, which gives you like 50% bonus damage. So, you can still do a lot of damage even if you lose some offensive points. On the other hand, Strong Blow costs 3 offensive points. So, if I'm just on a one-handed shield, I can just Strong Blow and attack once. Which just gives him a bit more damage than just attack twice, because one-handed weapons don't do that much damage with the shield. So, yeah, it just gives you a nice bit more damage, which is always nice. Web of Steel is a must for that build. This stance allows you to parry twice, which is essential, because more parry means more mitigated damage. You survive longer, which is always good. And Onslaught. Onslaught is quite nice in that case that it allows you to be a bit more aggressive. If you want to block off that doorway, something, but you still want to get the charge on the enemy, Onslaught is what you need. It allows you to ambush the enemy and then still get an attempt to parry, and if you parry is successful, which you can quite reliably do, you will get a counterattack, which is also really nice. Now to get to his buffs. First is ability that only Warpguards have, which is just Warpstone immunity and poison resistance, which means he has 74% poison resistance, which is quite nice if you're running multiple gas rats, because you can just throw your poison in there and most likely it won't affect your guys, even though you're hitting them, which is sometimes nice. It's a bit risky, but it's nice. Flash parry is a must-have also, because 10% more parry, really good. Same goes for knowledge and tactics, just more parry. Armor efficiency, also a must-have, simply because you need the extra mobility. It takes away some of the penalty you have from the heavy armor, which is really, really crucial. Otherwise, you won't be able to keep up. And Swarm, just because I really like to have Swarm on every single game. Just more hit chance, more critical chance. Sometimes allows you to get out those nice big Herbert crits, which is really good. There are a few other options you could take. Overpower is one of them. Simply because sometimes you just won't be able to kill that enemy hero before it kills your hero. And this can maybe sometimes save you by stunning the enemy before he gets to hit you. Sometimes nice, I don't usually take it, but definitely worth a look. Another thing could be Black Hunger. Black Hunger is just for a bit more punch. It also takes away some of your wounds though, which is not that great, but 30 wounds is not that bad. You have over 300, so you can take the hit. And you can also heal it back up with the Healing Draught if you really need to. There are some other talents here you could take, like one of the passive talents, Hardy, which gives you just a bit more wounds, but it's also really nice. But if you want to check out some other stuff, just try out different things. Maybe you don't want to go for a frenzy build. Maybe you want to go for a frenzy build, which is just a bit more counterattack heavy, but also a bit more risky since you can't really parry. But there are a lot of different options with the Warpguard, which is why I like it so much. I usually run this specific build simply because it worked really well for me in the past. Like if you see here, this is one of my higher level Warbands, by the way. Another Warpguard with pretty much the same setup. Herbert and shield and one-handed weapon and the same talents. Same goes for this guy. Even though he took an injury, which means he has one less offensive points, which is a bit annoying, which means he usually just rocks a sword and shield, because yeah, he can only attack once with the Herbert. And it usually means it's better just keep the sword and the shield, so a bit more defensive. And this shield is, yes, 25% more parry just from the shield with the enchant. It's really good. Again, Mark of Enfeeblement. Oh, this is another nice enchantment. 15 wounds. He is a bit more tanky than the other guys. Also really nice to have. Well, there you go. Just a short little video to show you how an endgame Warpguard could look like if you want to level one. Like I said, I really grown to love these guys. They are just so good for an henchman. They can easily duel heroes and a lot of points in the game. Just smack them with Herbert, maybe crit them. If you put one of these guys in a doorway and the enemy tries to get past it with only one dude, you can just block them forever and completely cock-block them. Also, like I said, they are a really reliable front line, which is so important with this game, because most of your heroes, even though they have high dodge stance, are really, really squishy. And if that nasty Sister of Sigma hero just comes running screaming at you and hit one of your heroes with a two-handed and hits him, you will most likely die. If there's a nice Warpguard in the way, maybe he'll have the time to go around her and crit her down while she is trying to kill this lovely bastard, who will just take the hits, parry them, or just tank them out. Okay, he has 50% armor absorption, he has a lot of melee resistance, and he has a lot of hit points. They are just a really good tanking hero, henchman, and they're still quite a good damage dealer. Like I said, I like them, and I hope you too. This will be the first video in the series where I'll try to show you different builds for a lot of different characters in Mordheim. If you enjoy this kind of content, please subscribe and leave a comment down below. Until then, have a nice day.